Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I'm joined by Dana.
Hello.
We're back for some more Dawson's Creek Season 3. We're discussing episodes 9 and 10. So I'll roll the credits and we'll jump right into it. Okay, so episode 9 is titled Four to Tango. And we open in Dawson's bedroom like we do, but not with the usual suspects.
Oh.
It's now Pacey and Jen making out in Dawson's bed. Dawson is not home. It's
Doing their best.
They're doing everything in their power to
Uh-huh.
so that they could do the do.
So, I kind of have a question. Would you feel comfortable being in a stranger's bed trying to do it? I feel like I would feel weird about it. So,
I would too, especially my best friend.
yeah. And especially my ex. It's Jen's ex.
Right. Well, she never had sex with him in that bed. So.
Right. But at the same time, it's still your ex. And I feels again, it's also not either one of theirs. I guess maybe the excitement of sneaky
Maybe. Yeah.
But I was like, this is so weird. Why would you do this? I mean, they do explain why, because of course they can't get
I just love the constant kissing, and then they're both just they stop and they're just nothing. There's just nothing that's happening.
Oh, it's weird. I think there was this it happens in a lot of sitcoms where two characters that you would have never shipped ever in your entire life come into a circumstance where they kiss and they're like, horrible mistake, never should have done it, feels immediately weird, and that's what they keep pointing
going back to.
Yeah.
So Joey, well, I'm getting a little bit ahead. Jen leaves, and no, they hear Dawson come home because he had a dentist appointment.
Mhm.
So Jen jumps out the window.
Literally Superman's through the door.
He struggles to get his clothes back on his shoe, and he ends up landing on the floor, grabs the video game controller, and Dawson's like, "What are you doing in my room?" And he's like, "I'm playing Crash Bandicoot."
Yeah, this boy is
He's on.
smooth. He literally just had it right there at the ready, and I was just like, "There's no way that thing is on and playing.
Right.
There's no way."
It's funny when Dawson is talking to Jen about how he found Pacey in his bedroom, and he says that he said that he was playing Crash Bandicoot. She thinks she's like, "Is this one of your sexual euphemisms?" And he's like, "No, it's a video game."
No, it's a legal actual video game.
Do you think Crash Bandicoot means that he's jerking off?
Oh my god, it's an incredibly funny reference because it's it was a pretty big game at the time.
I used to play it all the time.
Yeah, I know, me too, and I was just kind of like, "Oh my god, feels like it's like they stabbed you specifically into my elder millennial heart, just
Right.
ow, ow, ow."
Andy has taken it upon herself to think that Jack should start dating
Yeah.
because he got a letter from a guy that was inspired by his football story, gay kid on the football team.
Mhm.
And he actually made headlines because the year before he took a guy to his prom.
Right.
So Andy's like, "Oh my god, you need to write back to him." And Jack's like, "Why?" And she's like, "You gotta put yourself out there, you gotta meet people." And he's like, he's still new, he's nervous, he doesn't know what to
Yeah.
do. I remember that feeling. I
Yeah.
actually thought that Kerr Smith did a really good job portraying that uneasiness in these 2 episodes, because
Mhm.
when you don't know what's going on, you're a little gun shy.
Yeah. I mean, I would be nervous too. I mean, because it's still crazy taboo for whatever dumb religious reasons that people have or societal reasons, right? So
Mhm.
your first instinct, because you've been raised to believe that you shouldn't be doing anything like this in public, and that's what people do when they date. They're very much out in the world, holding hands, like all that stuff is probably like the scariest thing because it was indoctrinated to be scary to him.
Mhm.
So, like, getting beyond that phobia, because it's like the conditioning is probably gotta be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, Plus this is like early days of the internet, so like online dating was still kind of like stranger danger.
Uh, yeah, well, it still is. That's the whole thing, it still is.
I mean, I
No,
think we could all admit we
so
were probably
fair.
14 doing ASL in the chat talking to
Yeah,
probably like
uh,
40-year-old men, but like
yeah, that's what I mean, like, it doesn't nothing is different. Like, it's still stranger danger. It's just more like, there's just more people doing it versus just, like, a small collective that, like, it's either, like, nerds, right? Or actual like,
the
online.
fact
It's
that a
like
lot of our generation is still alive is a miracle.
yeah, it is sometimes I think about it and I'm like, I still feel some type of way about meeting anyone, like, from online that I haven't, like, interacted in some way that I know they're real. The documentary Catfish
Oh,
and the show Catfish
uh,
is enough, and, like, I think one of the librarians says that. She's like, "I met a guy online." It's like, he didn't look anything like what he did. And of course, like, honestly, I feel like Andy's, like, on one spectrum where she's just, like, push, 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 push because, like, she's got nowhere to put her
but also
energy.
that's Andy. Andy's a go-getter. She's a
Yeah,
doer. She's
yeah.
like, no, write to him. Do this. Do this.
Again, it was very,
You're
like
gay. Get a boyfriend.
right, but at the same time, it's like, I gotta remember, okay, so this is '99, so
Mhm.
people, like, are it's not like it's, un it's unheard of, like, you can't even say the word gay out in the world, right? So, like, everybody is, like it's starting to turn, but I
Mhm.
think Annie's acting like it's now, like, you know,
Yeah.
like it's like NBD, and it's like, "Girlfriend, slow down." Like, it's not like that, and again, it's coming from a lot of place of privilege, like, straighty over here, trying to tell
In
how to be.
in the letter to Jack, the guy said, "Look me up in the pink pages," and I thought he was being funny, but he meant yellow pages.
Mhm.
But in the second episode, Jack actually has, like, a little, like, magazine that says pink pages, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, that's a thing?"
Well, I mean, also in the yellow like, the phone book, there
Mhm.
was a set of pink pages, but they were, like, a specific type of, like, services that
Oh.
they, like yeah. Back in the day, there was white, there's yellow, blue, and I think I did see pink because, like, printing,
Mm.
there's only so many, like, carbon copies that you can like, of that paper you can make, it's technical stuff, but
No, now that you mention that, I think I remember the different colors.
yeah,
Yeah.
but, that's what I initially I thought it was also, like, a publication, like, specifically for, like, gay guys to, like, meet
Mhm.
because there used to be tons of codes, right? Like,
Yeah.
back in the day, like, there was the handkerchief codes, there was, like, other different types of ways to, like, meet up.
Luckily, by the time I was ready to start doing
Yeah,
all this, the internet had evolved a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
So I was kinda late to all that, like,
yeah, yeah.
I had a
Well,
little
like,
bit more easy access.
yeah, they had to kinda keep it on they had to keep it on the down low because, like, if
Yeah.
you were out, you're basically gonna get, like, shunned if you're lucky or potentially killed, like, is the other option,
I
like, so
actually went the old-fashioned way. I didn't do the online thing at first, I just went out to the clubs.
that's what I mean, like
And the first
yeah,
few times it was with somebody, and then it just became, like, a regular weekly thing, and then I would go out by myself sometimes because 'cause I'm like, "I'm gonna run." At that point, you become a regular and you start seeing the same people everywhere.
yeah,
So I was like, "I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna see somebody I know." So that's
yeah,
how I met people.
yeah. And poor Jack, he's so young, and he doesn't know
Mm,
fucking anything, so
I
it's
know.
like, again, like, Andy being Andy, so pushy.
Right.
Mm,
Poor Jack.
mhm,
Um, so he ends up writing to this guy. They find his email. They find him, I guess, in the pink pages or online somehow, and they get his email. Maybe he left him the email and letter. And he writes to him.
mhm.
The whole back and forth correspondence, I don't know if they were on a TV version of AIM. Like,
Yeah,
so, like
it did look like AOL Messenger.
yeah, but they were saying it was email. I'm like, "This feels like instant messaging," but okay.
No, it's yeah, instant
That's not how
messenger.
the internet works, but
Mhm.
okay. Um, and he sets up to meet at a coffee shop, and Jack goes, and he sees the guy, and at first I was like, "Is he not gonna look like his picture? Like, is Jack gonna not be attracted to him?" Which is fine, but you could still,
Yeah,
like, have a gay friend.
yeah, at
Oh,
least someone to talk to.
right. A mentor.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Andy even says the guy that he took to prom was a friend, so it
Mhm.
wasn't even a real like, a boyfriend, so it wasn't a real thing, so he's single. Like, she's
So
really
they
pushing
did it as a statement,
those.
like a political statement. I'm like,
Yeah,
again, that's actually pretty brave. Like,
yeah, for the
like,
'90s,
yeah,
the year before, '98,
mhm,
that's I
pretty
feel
brave.
like I heard about things like this in, like, the early 2000s.
Mhm.
Maybe spun off of actual events like this, who knows?
Yeah. It sound like this all gives the vibe of like, oh, things happened in the news that we could probably
Rip
pull
from the
pull up.
headlines.
Yeah, just like bring it to Cape Side, you know?
Um, so we see Jack, it looks like he's having the courage to go in and actually meet the guy,
Mhm.
but we cut away.
Yeah.
And Andy is like sitting at Graham. Okay, I thought this was weird. We don't see Grams at all in this episode.
Mm.
But Andy is sitting in Graham's kitchen with the light dim, just waiting for Jack to come home to hear about his date. I'm like, this is not your house. Let's go
Yeah.
home.
Also, just kind of like, why are you this invested, girl? Like, it's not that deep. Like, you're putting so much pressure on something that like you haven't even like the man is brittle. Like, he is not someone that should be pushed. Like, just let him do it at his own pace, his own time. You know what I mean? It's like ripping someone out of a closet that's so messed up. Like, you shouldn't do that. Just let people go move on their own time frame. And she always frames it as like, let me pick you up or I want to be helpful, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, girl.
I almost feel like when she's done with whatever she has to deal with as far as like her academic responsibilities,
Mm.
um, that she's hyper focused on him so she doesn't have to think about Pacey and like
Oh,
her,
yeah.
her own shit. She can
Yep.
just focus on something else.
Right, because she would have to, like, wrestle with her own parts and everything, and she
Right,
just wasn't, like,
right.
at all.
Um, so Jack comes home and he says that he never went in, that he chickened out,
Mm.
that he saw a straight couple and it made him want to be them and not be him. So then Andy kind of finally takes the hint that maybe she's pushing too hard and that when he's ready, he'll be able to walk through that door, and she backs off
Yeah,
a little bit, as much as Andy can in
yeah.
any
I mean,
situation.
she's still overbearing, but maybe she's not overbearing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hit the line about, like, he said that really kinda made me go, "Oh gosh." It's just as, like he's like, I would really be gay then." Like, if he opened the door, sat down, got on a date, then that means he's, like, actually gay. Like, it's not just like, it's
yeah,
real, like, it's not just what he kinda, like, thought about in his mind, and
right.
I was just like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
got that line really got me." I was like, "'Cause
I
I
almost
get."
feel like he can't even like somebody because he's so hung up on like how it's gonna look.
Right.
Like his brain is not in the I like this person. Like it's all about like, is somebody looking at me? Do they think I'm gay? Like
Right, right. All of, like
he needs to do work on himself before he gets
yeah.
in a relationship.
Well, he needs to well, obviously, he has lots of trauma
Yeah,
about what happened with his family, like, coming out with his family and that rejection. So, like, the idea of being rejected by a complete stranger potentially could be, like, earth-shattering.
right,
So, even though there's, like, it's very obvious the guy, like, was flirting with him on the computer, like, he said he was also gay, like, so there's not a lot of risk there, like, that he would be rejected from, like, the sense of, like, them being straight, him being interested in somebody straight, but, like, at the same time, like, he doesn't want to be perceived outside as gay either,
Yeah.
which
But,
is like
that whole scenario feels very realistic. I wonder there's probably thousands of guys that got ghosted like that. Like
yeah. Well, there's a lot of stories I would listen to, like, so it's like, there's a podcast with Trixie Mattel and Katya Kotorova, she's, like, from Drag Race, and she used to be an escort slash, sex worker,
Mhm,
and she would tell there were some of the stories she would get, she'd be like, most of them are, like, straight guys or who say they're straight, and, like, they just need to, like, get, with me, and sometimes it would be, like, in drag, but in reality, it's like they want them to be men. Like, it's some people are very, very closeted and, like, they don't wanna accept it, like, or, like, they're just not ready to go there, or their family or their lifestyle or something like that just would not they would put them in a really dangerous position, so it's like it's so sad, but
Did you watch Pose?
no, no, I do
That's a
know of it though.
that's a really good show. It's on Hulu. You should
Yeah, I
is
should
it on
watch
Hulu?
it.
It was on Netflix. That was
It's
the one FX show that wasn't on Hulu, which I thought was weird because Hulu
mhm,
has all the FX shows,
mhm,
but
mhm.
it might be on Netflix. You should check that out. It's really
I
good.
should, I
Yeah.
should. I've seen a lot of, stuff for it, but and I heard it is very good. I believe it won a couple Emmys, like, in the beginning and stuff, so
Yeah.
but it's just, it's very real. It's a very real thing, you know?
So that's kind of it for Jack for that episode.
Yeah.
Pacey is bombing this semester at school. He can't focus, he's not studying, he's not committing to his schoolwork.
No.
Um, he tells Joey about this, and he's like, "Can you teach me trigonometry, like, in one day?"
Yeah, like, the guidance counselor is like, again, every guidance counselor in the show is super interested in Pacey, wants to
Mhm,
kinda get into what's going on there, and then, like, he kinda hints at, like, that like, the relationship with him and Andy is over and is, like, basically destroying, like, anything that he was, like, even remotely working towards, just,
right.
like, keep it up. Yeah.
Um, so he asks Joey for help.
Mhm.
She says yes, but he has to do something for her, and that is take ballroom dance classes because
Mhm.
she is enrolled in this ballroom dance class because apparently there's a competition every year and the winner gets a scholarship
Mhm.
that she could put towards college. Um, so he agrees to it. When it comes to the studying, he's still not able to concentrate or commit, and he says to her, "In any situation like this when I was doing well, there was always some kind of incentive involved." And she's like, "Okay, like what, like a cookie?" Like he's like, "No." She's like, "I am not giving you sexual favors like good grades."
Yeah,
I
and,
like
like
how everybody just openly talks about Tamara now. It's not even like a secret. They're not quiet
yeah,
about it. They're just like Tamara,
like
Andy.
she was an ex that like, an ex-girlfriend, MBD, and it's just like, no, she wasn't a grown woman that took advantage of a young impressionable boy. She
Right,
sexually assaulted him. Like,
right.
that's what happened. Whether he liked it or not is not it quite we don't care that is irrelevant. And,
I
like
think at one point during these suspicions, Dawson even says something about Pacey's like flair for older women coming
yes,
back,
like,
and
"Oh,
he didn't.
is there a hot teacher that I don't know about
Right.
that, like, he's could potentially" 'cause he ultimately finds a condom in his room, and
Right.
that kinda sets him off.
Mhm.
And then there's, like because Joey and Pacey are doing this dance, like, thing, they don't want anyone to know because it's
This
highly
all
embarrassing.
could have been stopped if Pacey just says, "I carry a condom. It fell out of my wallet."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. He coulda just came up with literally any excuse whatsoever, like, that would have covered it, but they act immediately suspiciously, like so because of course, as soon as they both I love this perfect timing, like, as soon as they both say, "That's right, let's keep this a secret. We will tell no one." Like, Dawson is, like, right there magically.
right.
What do you mean, "Tell no one"? Tell no one what? And it's like, and then, like, they both just kinda do that thing where they're like, "Oh, nothing.
Mhm.
We're gonna be real suspicious and slowly leave this situation goodbye," and then, like, run away. And of course, that sets Dawson off on like Mr. Investigation because
Mhm.
it looks suspicious. They look suspicious. And then of course Jen is like is also involved, but at the same time she's dipping and dodging all of it. Just like
Right.
kind of weirdly exacerbating it too at the same time.
Mhm.
Because she wants Dawson to investigate this because she's also curious as to what Pacey's problem is because he's ducking her too to
Well, even so,
study.
they find Joey and Pacey dancing at the class,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
very suspicious. And the teacher's like, "No watchers, you have to participate." So now Jen and Dawson are on the dance floor, and then
Mhm,
they do the whole switch partners thing, and Dawson and Pacey are partners at one point.
mhm.
And Pacey goes off on this whole tirade about like, how long are you gonna like say that you're over Joey, but you're not? You're so worried about her moving on before you and like who the guy is gonna be. He's like, what does it matter? He's like, wouldn't you rather it be somebody that you trust than some scumbag that you don't?
Well, like
He's-
the dance instructors kinda says, like, "I've never seen 2 dancers that dance so bad that weren't, like, into each other."
right.
Like, the fact that they can't dance together was a signal to the dance teacher that they are, like, into each other, and I was just sitting there thinking to myself like, "Ha, ha, ha, ha! So Dana was right this whole time. They're putting them together. I knew it. I knew it."
It made me think of Patty and what's his name from My So Called Life when they went ballroom dancing and they were really bad.
Yeah, exactly, and they're into each other.
Yeah.
Are anyway, who knows what would happen. But yeah,
Um, yeah. So and part of Pacey's tirade also was, wouldn't you rather it be a friend than somebody stranger that you don't know? He's like, because at least a stranger that you don't know isn't going to ask for permission or how you feel about the situation. He's just going to swoop in. And he basically is like, Joey's a knockout. Like, you fucked up. Like, she's going to move on.
I think the way I so that's it's so weird because at first when I heard his speech, I was thinking to myself like that he was basically trying to tell Dawson, like, "Dawson, like, you don't get to tell, like, the world to back off of Joey and then you, like, do nothing at
Right.
the same time. Like, you don't get to have both, like, your cake and eat it too type of
Hmm.
conversation. Like, she's beautiful, that you're like, how long do you expect it to be before a man like another guy who's wonderful, smart, or any of those things to not come in and like Joey to move on. Like that's like it's dumb to think that she's just gonna wait around for you forever. You're the one who keeps like telling her no, 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 no.
Right.
And it's like again, Pacey coming in, knocking in truths that everyone needs to hear.
Pacey also had a talk with Joey where he brought up about the hypothetical situation of a friends with benefits situation, no emotions attached. And she was like, no. She's like, I'm
Yeah,
not into that.
no.
She's like, and neither are you. She's like, you have a big heart. She's like, you named your boat True Love. Like, she's like, that's not who you are.
Right.
So we'll put a pin in that little detail.
Mhm.
Um, so who got upset? Somebody got upset. Was it Jen?
Um, well, so Jen is really on kind of the hunt to using Dawson to figure out what's going on because she knows Pacey's lying to her too because she doesn't understand why they can't like find a spark, right?
Right.
And
Oh,
so
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then like she watches Pacey basically lay into Dawson, which she believes is a little extra that
Mhm.
was necessary for the situation.
Right,
And then they walk off into the coat room. I believe that's what happens.
right.
Yeah.
And they why but what there was something with Jen. She needed to be comforted also, and they were both just kind of commiserating, and then all of a sudden they felt a little something, like a
Well,
little
it's yeah. Well, I think it was because like she was kind of trying to say like she was kind of feeling a little insecure about like the whole thing. And I thought he was like comforting her. It's like, "Oh, like, we're just too much like each other or whatever." And then like they had that like I guess a locking eyes moment and then
right.
they start
They
and then
were
they
even said they're like, "Oh, are you feeling that Witch Island spark right now?" And she's like,
yeah,
"Yeah."
yeah, and then they go for it, and then that's yeah, I think it was just, it like, she was feeling because again, like, she witnessed him just kinda, like, pop off, and so she follows him into the coat room to kind of like talk about it a little bit, and then other things happen.
Yeah, and Joey did that thing that she does. So Joey and Dawson walk in on them kissing,
Mhm.
and they say nothing happened. Like, really? They're like, believe me, nothing happened.
Like, we've
We
been
tried.
trying to navigate this for a while, and it's not happening, so we're friends, and, Joey has, like, a righteousness about her that is not very fun, you
No.
know? Like, sh I feel like she's a little judgy
Hmm.
about other people's, like, sexual proclivities, you
Yeah.
know? Like, if they had a kink, she would shame them, I feel like, which is kinda not cool.
Yeah,
But
it's like a high horse she sits on until she gets put in her place. Like,
yeah,
once you come at her with your side, then she kinda cowers and she, like,
yeah,
will
yeah.
listen to reason. But if
Yeah,
you
it's like,
just let her go, she will sit on that high horse.
yeah. Well, it's like you don't where are you coming at me from with this at? Because
Right.
to be honest, like you don't actually have any sexual like, experiences. So you have no idea how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking or what I want to be doing. Like just because what your perceived understanding of how this will turn out, like you don't know that for sure. You
Yeah.
don't know anything. That's the whole thing. You don't know anything. You think you know things, but you do not. Like and like you said, put in her place.
Dawson actually thinks this is funny. He's, like, smirking and, like, giggling the whole time.
Yeah.
So, Joey runs off because she's, like, disgusted, and Dawson runs after her,
Mhm.
and Pacey admits to Jen that he because Jen's like, "Why was Joey so, like, pissed? Like, where did all that fire come from?" And he
Mhm.
admits to her that they had a hypothetical situation, and then he's, like, seeing this, he saw who the hypothetical girl
Mhm.
probably was.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
that annoys Jen, and then because Jen's very astute and she could see everything that's going on,
Yeah.
she's like, "What is it about that girl that drives all the guys in this town crazy?"
Seriously, because she's just trying to get hers, and Joey's always up in the business, like, kinda cock blocking, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, I'm not having sex, that means nobody else can have sex, just as a heads up."
Right.
Mhm.
Um, they both kind of agree that their deal is dead and that this isn't gonna happen, so they're just friends like they've always been.
Mhm.
But closer because they've never really been close friends.
Yeah.
So now I feel like they could be there for each other
Yeah.
platonically. Um, Joey forgot her coat, and after a talk with Dawson, she goes to go get it, and she sees Pacey still sitting there. Um, and the teacher tries to get them to stay, and they find out that there is no scholarship because money's a little bit tight, and she's like, "Forget this." And her and Pacey are on good terms, and she drags him out of there, and that's it for that episode. Pretty
But
much.
they have opened the door. Pacey has, kind of partially admitted to something, maybe?
Would
Like, the way him and Jen kinda left their relationship kinda like, left the conversation kinda felt like Pacey was, like, partially willing to admit that he has, like not maybe he doesn't, like, wanna fully admit that he has, like, full-blown feelings, but, like, there's something about Joey that he likes. 'Cause, like, why would all this happen? Why is Joey getting so, bent out of shape about this situation?
right,
Not just beyond her high horse and again, him, like, his weird propensity to be, like, angry at Dawson for just sitting around waiting for Joey to, like, like, to start over again.
right. So yeah, that was the end of the episode.
Mhm.
I didn't remember the whole Pacey and Jen thing being multiple episodes. I thought, like, I've watched this a few times, and I guess I always forget. I always think it's just this episode. This is the one episode I remember because I remember the closet.
Mhm.
I don't remember Witch Island. I don't remember Thanksgiving.
Uh,
I didn't hate it. I like that they kind of mixed it up. The pair.
yeah. I like the idea of, like, let's see, where are we going here? Like, what's gonna end up happening with these, like, these
I want to
kids,
see more scenes of people that wouldn't normally be in scenes together, like hanging
yeah,
out. Just
yeah, exactly.
go to the mall or something. I don't know.
That's what kids used to do back in the
And
day.
Joey's rowboat, row across the creek. I don't know.
Ooh.
So episode 10, Pacey is not in, which I didn't realize till halfway through. I'm like, oh, Pacey's not going to college. All right.
No, his grades are bad.
Yeah. So Joey is going for like to stay in a student's dorm and like get like a weekend college experience pretty much.
Mhm.
Um Andy's there because she wants to meet with the dean even though she doesn't have an appointment. Jack, I guess, is just there for the road trip and he's like,
Well, yeah, so why didn't Pacey come for the fun of it?
right.
But, oh well.
Pacey's probably working on that inn at Joey's house.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Or
or his boat.
or studying.
Or studying. Or detention, who knows.
Mhm.
um was Jen there? Whoa. No, Jen wasn't in this episode either. I didn't
No,
even realize that. Okay.
yeah.
Pacey and Jen weren't in this. Maybe they
2
were.
troublemakers.
um Jack is just there for the road trip, but also secretly maybe to see what the gay community is like. Because this is where I see that he had the pamphlet that said Pink Pages.
Yeah,
Which looked like a magazine you would find at any gay club.
right. That's what I mean, like, sometimes they have stuff so they can, like, actually be able to congregate, like, safely without,
Right. um I thought it was a little bit on the nose that he was sitting at a bus stop waiting for the bus and he gets cut off by a gay couple getting on the bus before him.
Yeah,
They like rush for the bus and cut him off. And he's just
yeah,
like, do I get on this bus or not?
and the bus
And the
driver's like,
driver's
"Oh,
like, are you in or out? Like, which was like, he's out. He's out.
yeah." Like, you kinda just, like they always love to have a moment like that where it's like, "Alright, dude, you deciding? Let's go. You going left? You going right? You in? You out? Like, you
Yeah.
putting on or you're off." Like, it's one or the other. Like, it's time to decide. And
Right.
then, you know, it's perfect little, like, boop.
The dean's secretary will not let Annie in to see him. He's fully booked, has no time to see her. She has an appointment months from now. And she's like, yeah, early bird gets the worm. And she's like, no. And
Not this early.
she's like, well, what if he has a cancellation in his stay? She's like, would you cancel on your college interview?
Mhm. Dean
And
of
this
the
was Marla Gibbs, the actress from 227, the sitcom. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of 227, but I didn't know. Oh,
Her
fun.
and Jackée Harry were rivals on that
Yeah,
sitcom. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my
And
god.
she most recently has made appearances on Days of Our Lives with Jackée Harry. They kind of did a little nod to 227 on there. She actually plays her mother on Days of Our Lives.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
she's still
love
acting. She's like in
that.
her 90s now.
Woo!
And I want to say she was, I might be getting this wrong. So uh, let me know in the comments. She may
Mhm.
have been the maid on the Jeffersons.
I don't know.
You don't
See,
know?
I didn't know that. See, it's something I heard of these shows, but I've never, like, watched them because they
Yeah, I
weren't reruns
think
when
she
I
was
was
on the Jeffersons before
okay.
227.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was Marla Gibbs, well-known
Very
actress.
cool.
Yeah.
She was awesome. She
Yeah.
kinda, like, schooled Andy in the best way.
Her
Like
blocking Andy felt like that nurse or receptionist that wouldn't let Joey in to see Andy in the first episode.
right.
Just blocking her.
Yeah, well, she did it more successfully than that other, receptionist was kinda all
Right.
caught up in Zoe's drama, but I think Andy weirdly got, like, exactly what she needed
Yeah.
from her, like, the woman was incredibly accommodating, like
Yeah, she gave her advice. She was like, well, Andy told her about her home life, like with her
mhm,
mom and everything. And she
yeah,
basically gave her permission to not feel guilty about everything that's gone on with her family members
yeah,
individually. She's like, basically, like, you're taking on the guilt of everything that's gone wrong in your family, and it's it's not your fault.
It was a great line where it's just like, just because your mom lost her mind over the loss of your brother doesn't mean that
You
you
can't move
need
on.
to lose yours because you moved on from it, like, that you got over it. Like,
Yeah,
you don't have to be guilty because of it, and I was like, "That was perfect." Like,
yeah.
that was a perfect little, like, wrap up line to kinda, like, get to her.
She
So
even said,
hopefully
she's like, "I have 7 kids." She's like, "One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, one got married." She's like, "And one's like a musician." She's like, "Guess which one's the happiest?" And she's like, Andy's like, "So you telling me I shouldn't go to college?"
right, and then you should just join a jazz band. Of course, it's what she would take away from it, but it's just like the real point was kinda like, you could do anything.
Yeah.
You
Um,
It doesn't matter.
I don't know if this rule applies to all colleges or if it's different in, like, more prestigious colleges, but I thought that if a family member worked at a college that their kids usually were able to go.
Sometimes,
Free.
not always.
Not
I mean,
always.
it depends on, like, some colleges do have that kind of policy because it's like it helps, like, foster, like, like, I guess, pay gap, or not like the pay gap, like the poverty gap. So, like, when people who are not as well off
Mhm.
come in, most of the time it's at, like, a heavily discounted tuition versus, like, just free.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be. It's really, like, up to the discretion of the university, I would imagine.
'Cause she was making a point, "I have 7 kids, and guess how many have gone to this college?" She's like, "0."
Right. Well, also, like, it might not have a like, not they have, like, admissions, like, requirements, so, like, you this is supposed to be very prestigious the way
Yeah,
all, like, look, so if it was a prestigious college, that means that they may have never made it, like, education-wise or something along those lines, but, at the same time, like, there's a bunch of, like, other things society put into, like, affirmative action, all that stuff, like, it's I don't know, but either way, the real message I think she was trying to get to give her was like, you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, your life, like, the idea. This is like the time frame that, like, parents were, like, beating into their kids, like, you need to go to college, otherwise you will not be successful. It's not possible. You won't make good money. You won't get a good job. You won't get a good house. You won't have a good family. Like, the whole 9 yards.
right.
Like, you need, like, it's basically saying, like, the same idea of, like, if you're getting good grades to get you into a good college, to get you a good college, to get a good job, right? And even if you do those things, it does not guarantee you the good job or the good house or the good life or whatever. Like, that's kind of what I think she was trying to say, which I think a lot of us millennials could have heard, like, halfway through, because the
Right.
debt that they go into is kind of like what these people are going into. It's like watching the train crash before the
Right.
you're like, you might maybe think about it. You could think of getting into a trade, maybe? A
Yeah.
trade? Like, 'cause you're just about to spend like 20, 30, $40,000 that you will be in heavily interested debt for, that you're gonna have to pay back, that you're never gonna have money to,
Yeah.
like, that's kinda like, she was kinda saying like, "Hey, maybe not." Uh,
Um, Jack ends up at a gay club, it looked like. It could've just been a bar, but it was very lively for the middle of the day because this is still
Yeah,
daytime.
and again, he's 16,
Yeah.
right? Or 17 at most?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it is easier to get into gay clubs.
Ah!
Once
So
I was a regular, they kinda knew me, and I used to get the bracelets when I shouldn't have got the bracelet.
oh my god,
I was 18, granted,
but
but
still, you're at least technically a legal adult at that
and I
point.
can say this because none of those establishments are open anymore, so it's not like they're gonna get closed down by me
They're
admitting
not gonna
it.
come for me, this was they
This
don't
is 20
exist.
years ago.
Yeah,
I wanna say it was the '90s, it wasn't, it was the early
eh,
2000s.
right, but still, like, to me, I just how the fuck are these kids getting into these clubs? Like, I don't get like, what bouncers are not or non-existent bouncers are there outside of these establishments carding people? And then the bartenders, like, they're young looking.
Listen,
Not
when you're
Jake.
young and gay, you get away with a lot.
I was gonna say Jake looks like a literal child. Like, he does not look like an older man. Like, maybe Dawson could probably get away with it. Pacey cannot. He looks like a kid. Like, and Jake does not look like an adult. He looks like a literal early 2000s, late 90s
I
teen.
definitely felt his uncomfortableness because I've been there. Like when
Yeah.
the guy was like, "You're cute, you want to get out of here," and he like
Putting
blew
it
his
on
ear.
thick, like,
Like
oh,
I've been in that situation where I'm just like, What? You're talking to me? Like I'm gay? You're gay? We're gay? We're gay together?"
well, also, like, at the same time, like, it just makes me think to myself, like, "Oh, men be like, no that no matter where they are." Like,
Jack
they're just like
bolted. The
that.
minute he wasn't looking, Jack bolted out of
Right?
there.
Like, I felt for him just as a woman who has been, like, accosted at a bar before, like, where they're just like, "Oh, hey, you're really, really attractive. Can I talk to you alone in this dark corner?" And it's like, that is not safe. That doesn't sound like a safe scenario for you. No, thank you. Like, that's another thing too about the guy that was, like, really weirded me out. It's like, you could tell he's obviously not okay, like, because he looks so, so scared. Like,
Mhm.
just standing there, he's like, "Oh my god. Oh, there's a person. They're right next to me." And he's just kind of like,
They're
"So you're
talking to me. They're
shy."
getting me a drink.
Right. He's like, "So you're shy." And it's like, "Dude, walk away. This is a boy. Like, do
Right.
you really need, like," I mean, maybe.
And I think he knew that. I think he
Yeah.
even brought
Yeah,
lights
that's
or
what I
he's like,
mean.
"How did you
Like,
get
I
in here?"
know.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know, like, older men type like to kind of prey upon the younger men in clubs most of the time, but that's very true in straight clubs too. Like, that's what I'm saying, like, men be like that, men be like that. Like, it's just as simple as that.
um so that's it for him till the end. We'll talk about the end when we get to it. Um so Joey ends up meeting her roommate who happens to be a guy and his name is AJ and they thought she was a guy because they thought her name was Joseph, not
Yeah,
Josephine.
yeah.
Very funny because literally yesterday Greg was telling a story that this happened to him. He was late to check in his freshman year. He lives here in New York. He
Mhm,
went to an art school in Philly.
mhm,
He had to be there before his parents because he had to check in. So they were going to meet him a few days later to bring his stuff.
mhm.
Um, they mixed up his name. His last name is Barbera, and they read it as Barbara. So Greg had a female roommate.
Oh! Did they end up staying in the same room, or did they have
No,
to switch at the end?
I was like half listening. I think what he said was there was like this, like really like juice head like muscle guy who was in another room with a flamboyant gay guy, and he said I guess his swivel was too much for him and he freaked out. So
Uh,
Greg and the other gay guy in the dorm ended up being roommates.
they put the
And I was like,
gay.
"Oh, are you guys still friends?" He's like, "No." He's like, "We just kind of left and like we
Yeah,
lost touch." He's like, "It was before social media and everything." And
yeah,
I'm like, "You guys didn't like write each other?"
yeah.
Send smoke
Or, like,
signals?
get
Like,
phone numbers or something, like, house numbers or something. Yeah, it was probably way easier for that to happen, you know,
yeah. I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've tried to find him on Facebook." He's like, "Just haven't." I was like, "Oh, that sucks."
it happens.
But yeah, so it's funny that this could actually happen.
Oh my
Um, so his name is AJ. He's, I guess, supposed to give her a tour of the school. She's auditing some classes. She sits down in freshman English. Apparently, he's a TA because the professor's not there, so he has to run the class.
yeah.
He kind of embarrasses Joey a little bit by asking her like what her favorite book is, and she says Little Women, and then the whole class basically takes apart Little Women like it's the worst book ever.
Mhm.
And we find out later that it was Joey's mother's favorite book, and there's a character in that book named Joe, who's a girl, and that's who she's named after. So it's this whole emotional connection to this book.
Yeah, and Joe in the book, like, when to be honest, I was like, "Oh, this makes so much sense because like, Joey and Josephine, like, them both are in the book are very similar in a lot of the way they act and do things and, like, um, you know, Joey's very like quick and smart, like and
Yeah.
witty. Joe in the story is very similar. She's not demure like how women are supposed to be at that time frame, you know,
Uh-huh.
this is like back in like the 1800s type time frame. So like women are supposed to not be spoken to, like speak without spoken to kind of thing. And Joe in the book is like not like that. She's like, no,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna get married. I'm gonna live my own life. I'm gonna make my own money. I'm never gonna. I don't need to be with a man. But then ultimately does kind of fall in love with the boy next door.
Right.
So it's
As
like
he was explaining it, the father, makes
yeah,
questionable decisions and, like,
yeah, exactly,
the
exactly. So
sister,
like
I
a
was
lot
like,
of
"Oh."
it truly is like weirdly mirrors like Joey's actual life.
Mhm.
But I thought he was kind of rude. Like
Yeah,
we don't need to be rude. Like
right,
I don't the college experience, right? Like he did it all under the guise of that, and it's just like it was giving like, "Ooh, I like you, so I'm gonna tug at your pigtail. I'm gonna be mean to you because I like
right.
you." Like, ew, grow up. Like again, like trying to like show maturity while also being incredibly immature. Like
Right.
it's just, ugh.
But also, if you're a TA, like, how old are you in college? Are
I
you
like
you
I,
maybe 21, 22?
right.
You're
That
not
was gonna be
18.
my point too. Like this is again a child. Like she's not even in your college yet, and you're trying to get up. And there's no way like a now freshman, is a TA.
Right,
Like, they have to at least be a junior or
right.
some yeah, not even I think a sophomore would still be too young to be a
Yeah,
teen.
me too.
Like a latter junior and maybe or an early senior to be able to be still doing that, and like you said, like, if you're 18, let's see, 4 years, 18, 19, 20, yeah, 20, 21,
Yeah.
flirting with a 16-year-old? Ew.
Um, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Dawson is there because there's a film festival that he submitted his, Witch Island film into.
Mhm.
When he's checking in, he has to ask, like, questions, I guess, for his bio and for the movie, like, who his favorite, director is, and when he says Spielberg, the girl checking him in is like, "Oh, wow, really?" I'm like, "You don't get to make comments and opinions about somebody's, like, taste."
Yeah. She's very dismissive of him, like, right
And
off
when she's like, "You didn't write a description," he's like, there's not enough room," and when he starts to say Witch Island, she's like, "Ah, got it, Blair Witch ripoff." Like, it's like it
well,
was 1999, alright, throw that one in the Blair Witch ripoff pile. Like,
he like, they did kinda open it with, like, him being, like, over obsessive about the movie, like, he's watched it, like, 3 or 4 majillion times. It kinda
yeah,
opens up with Graham saying, like, "Well, you know, God doesn't take kindly to those who, like, dabble in the dark
dark
arts,"
arts.
like, little Boophio, right?
Yeah,
And so he's, like, over preparing, like, he's like, "I gotta be prepared, like, in case
for
there's
all the
gonna be
questions they're
Q&A."
gonna ask me.
Right, you can ask me anything, and so he's anticipating everyone to love,
Right.
like, just eat it all up, so, like, when he walks into this woman and she's just kinda like
Yeah,
from the jump, he's like,
that's
"Oh, no,
Dawson in his little bubble where he
I
thinks
know
he's
my
the best.
confidence." He's like, "No, not my confidence, don't destroy my confidence," and then that it just goes downhill from there. It really does.
Um, so they screen his movie and people walk out right after.
Yeah.
Um, very little applause. He's a little embarrassed because everybody's walking out, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Dawson Leary, Dawson Leary." So he like has to get up there to like answer any
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Um, there's a lesbian couple that asks if the Joey girl is around because she's hot, and that's it. So the girl feels bad for him, and she's like, you know, she's pretty much like, "You made a movie in an oversaturated market of ripoffs at this moment. Like, really? Like, Blair Witch just came out. Like,
Mhm.
you could have did any other theme." Like,
Seriously, like, she's not
no.
wrong.
So and she introduces herself as Nikki Green. Did you catch it right away when she said Green?
No.
Okay.
What? What? What?
Well, she says that at the end. She's
Yeah.
the principal's daughter.
Oh, no. Oh, I well, when she said that, she's like, "Oh, he's a principal in Cape Side." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't catch the last name. I didn't put that
Yeah,
together.
when she introduced herself, she said, "I'm Nikki Green," and I was like, "Oh, they like flat out said it." Like, so if
Yeah,
you
I should have
were,
picked up on this, like, way sooner, but, like, no, she had to spell it out for me because I was so dense.
but
I
you know
was
what? I
like,
think I fell for it too. I think if you're just casually watching this because they're not in Cape Side, you just think
yeah,
this is a
right,
strange person. You're not making the
right.
connection.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, like, towards the end of the episode, I was just like, "Are all these characters coming to Cape Side? Because 'Cause they're all recruited on this bus." How'd that happen? Oh,
Uh,
but, like, as soon as I saw her on the bus, I was like, "Mm."
so that actress is Bianca Lawson. She's been in everything. She was in a bathroom scene on My So-Called Life. Like she never ages. She's like 45 now, still playing 17-year-old roles.
I
Like
love
she
that.
like she was
I
on Pretty
love
Little Liars at like 40. Like
I love that for her. Go
yeah,
for it.
never ages.
Mm,
She was Kenja on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like she's in everything.
mhm.
Um, so she has a film that she submitted, and she actually gets a round of applause.
Yeah.
So her ego is just like bloated. But she does not win whatever they want to win. And so she
Yeah.
now it's deflated.
Mhm.
And Dawson gives her a pep talk about like how her movie made him want to make movies or reevaluate how he views things and makes movies. And I'm just like, okay, calm down.
It was inspired.
It was
It was
inspiring.
an inspired movie. It was just one of those moments where, she was profound to him, like a scene or 2 prior, right? Like, she kinda, like, left him, like, thinking, and then, like, after she had her own disappointment of a moment, he just, so happened to be there to be able to, like, drop a little nugget of truth onto her, like, their little, like, spit or little spat back and forth, kinda cat and
Mhm.
mouse, I don't know. It was just kinda like, this is kinda like Eve all over again. It's just like those moments where he keeps like or I mean, Rachel Lee Cook almost did the exact same thing, like, only, I think,
Yeah.
like a season prior, like, she was the intellectual art girl that,
Yeah.
like, the older woman that he meets that, like, inspires him to, like, do better. I don't know, because like, they
Well, at
just
least Nikki's age appropriate. She's a high school student.
yeah, at least she's a high school
Finally.
right, but she's, like, giving, like, I'm, like, older than I am on
Right.
the
She
outside.
could be. She could be a senior. They're juniors, so we still got a little time in high school with them.
Right.
Um, did you notice AJ's laptop when Joey first walked in and the whole mix up that he had the blue like
I
neon blue Mac laptop?
Well, I saw the iMac in the previous episode. They had a big
Was it
orange
there?
iMac for yeah, Jack was working on
Uh,
an orange iMac, and I was like,
every WB show had that on it that season. Buffy even had it.
yeah, just that big bubble laptop.
Yeah.
I
I guess it
can't,
was new that year, so Apple was
it was
really
a
like
big
doubling
deal.
down
Like,
on the promotion.
those, also laptops were starting to be, like, a thing, like, personal like, portable computers were,
Mhm.
like, the next big, like, technological marvel, and Apple coming out that was, like, in the beginning, like, obviously before the iPhone and
Yeah,
all that stuff, so this is, like, when Apple started to, like, do, like, everything leading up to that point, like, Microsoft was the dominating thing, and this is kinda like that fair like, just before the iPod, which is really what changed everything
yeah,
too. It
yeah,
was this and the iPod were, like, the 2 big products that they came out with that everyone was like, "Apple is back, baby."
yeah.
And,
Well,
I
prior to the iPod, there were MP3 players.
yeah,
I think you had to, like, load, like, onto, like, a disc or something,
yeah,
a
probably,
mini disc, but I
yeah.
think, the iPods were probably the first ones where you like because they had iTunes that you could download.
Right, and there was the screen that you could
Went
see
into it.
all
Yeah,
yeah, like, you could see your whole playlist, you can
yeah.
playlist, like, oh my god, it was a different time.
It was a different
Different time, it was different time, so, Yeah, and then, like, and as the generations, like, it ended up slowly it was like I remember when they did, like, was it the iPod Touch?
Mhm. I had the Nano, the mini one.
Yeah. Yeah, it just eventually, like, it all just turns into, your cell phone that you
Yeah,
have now.
yeah.
Um,
Um, so yeah, so this episode pretty much had, like, our main characters
mhm.
strictly isolated with, like,
Their own stories.
characters of the week.
Yeah. Well, like, I just thought it was really rich of Dawson to have, like, these little, like, moments of kind of like, because at the end, like, they all come back. They're coming all back to
Yeah,
K-Side,
yeah.
right?
To the bus, yeah.
The bus, the train, the whole whatever it is, like, they're all, like, coming in. And, like, he's been talking up this girl, Nikki, for, like, probably the whole train ride leading up to the stop or whatever, and this whole time while he's there, having a little kiki, and then he gives Joey, like, a weird not her, but, like, kinda, like, looks at the guy, AJ, like, with, like, who's this
Mhm.
boy? Who you sniffing around, blah, blah. It's like, you literally were just, like, flirting your ass off, like, probably for hours trying to get, like,
Right, because
before you got
he
here.
he feels
Who
this
do
ownership over Joey,
you like, who cares?
and
Like,
like Pacey said, some guy who you don't even know could swoop
right.
in and
He's equally as cute and dumb, probably too old for her, like, type of
well, he
situation.
also saw Joey writing her phone number on his hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, like, it's kind of like he noticed that she's happy,
Right.
enjoyed her
So
time.
now he must destroy it.
"What's wrong with this? Why is Joey so
Why are you
happy?
happy?
Why are you
Doesn't it, like,
happy?
make you laugh?
Did you talk to someone? How dare you talk to a man and enjoy your time there, and someone be, like, intellectual and know stuff? I don't think it's like, Dawson, back up, bro."
Right,
Like, you're and again, like, while the new flavor right here is, like, standing right there, like,
right.
literally right there.
Well, we know that her father's the principal, and she's coming back to Cape Side, so she might be sticking around for more than just one episode.
I'm excited. She seems awesome.
Yeah,
Like, she seems a little bit way more well-rounded than Eve was for sure. Like,
right.
not like a total one note, but they're still out. Dawson doesn't know how to handle anyone, so it'll be great to watch that crash and burn.
A guy gets on the bus and asks if he could sit by Jack, but Jack's saving the seats for everybody. But then I guess they're either taking too long or they're so preoccupied with their other
Mhm.
characters of the week that
Mhm.
Jack is like, sure, just sit. And the guy's like, oh, wake me up when we get to Cape Side. So this person's coming to Cape Side.
Mhm.
And he's like, I just need to go home, sleep in my family, like my childhood bed. He's like, I just got out of a bad relation, like just had a bad breakup. He and I were together for 2 years. And Jack's like, hey.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, what? I don't. He's like, everybody says that I'm the straightest gay guy you know. He's like, do they say that to you? And Jack's like, you could tell I'm gay. What?
Mhm.
How could you tell?
Oh, like, sheer panic. Like, the poor boy, like, went, like, in a cold sweat. You
What
know?
specifically about me let you know that I was gay so that I could change it?
Yeah, like, "Can you tell me specifically what it is that made you think I was gay so I could no longer do that thing?" And it's like,
And then
what?
nobody will know I'm gay.
It's like, "Dang, dude." Like, no, I know I will not tell you what it is, unfortunately, but you need therapy. Yeah.
So I'm trying to stay open-minded. I have a little bit, it's not logical, but it's just a 25-year-old grudge that I have.
Well, don't mind me, I just have it's a tiny little 25-year. It's not big deal. It's not really, it's only the things I think about every single day. It's fine.
It's fine, it's fine. I only
Fine,
think about it
fine.
once a day, maybe
I'm
twice.
fine. I'm not over it,
I'm
but
not
it's
over it, but
not over it, but it's fine.
so this I'm sure this actor is a lovely person. I don't know him personally,
I love this preface.
but he was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he tricked Buffy into having sex with him for a one-night stand and broke her heart, and I have never forgiven him for
Oh,
that.
you've never forgiven it.
So yes, it is
Oh,
a 25-year-old grudge. Actually, I think this TV season.
Oh my god.
So when I saw him pop up on Dawson's Creek, I was like, "You mother!
You better leave my poor Jackie boy alone.
You're
You
not gonna
better
do
not
good for him what you did to Buffy."
don't you dare hurt my Jack. He was a sensitive boy. You don't hurt him. He's my special boy. He will never be hurt. And I
So
will
now
never.
that I'm older and rewatching this, I'm gonna try and not hold my grudge against him.
Well, I know you'll keep your eye on him.
I will. It's a different character.
Like, I know you're a different character in a completely different world that has no connection to Buffy the Vampire Slayer whatsoever, but I'm watching you, brother. Jack is a good boy.
Me and Jen, we got his back.
You do not hurt my special man. Like, I will hurt you. Like, I get that. No, I get that. I think that way sometimes about like I kind of do that with Doctor Who. Like if I ever see like anybody who's ever played the Doctor in like something else, I'm like it's the Doctor and he's playing this character in this movie. Like he's not genuinely not genuinely playing the character. It's not the actor, it's the Doctor playing the character. That's
Right.
but yeah, so like I will also be on alert because
Just know he's a heartbreaker.
yeah, exactly. Like he does it once, he's capable of doing it again.
Right.
Like, so
And it happened in 1999. It's very close.
he he could say he got into a bad breakup with Buffy. Like
Right.
he's on his way from Buffy to hurt or poor Jackie boy. Like I can't. I won't let it
Maybe
happen.
he got off of another bus transfer from Sunnydale. Who knows?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Same universe.
But was there anything I forgot that you wanted to mention?
Uh no, I mean like that's the whole thing. Like I kind of hate how they had this episode after the last one because it's like you guys like tease the idea of Pacey and Joey potentially like into each other. Like that was a little bit of a seed plant. Like they kind of just went like they're like, oh, we're just gonna put this right here.
Yeah.
We're just gonna reference it a little, just a little bit, and then we're not gonna talk about it again, and then you're gonna forget, and then we hopefully will bring it back later.
Well,
But
it is mid-season on a network TV show, so this is when filler episodes tend to seep in.
I just kind of like didn't like that because it's like, oh, how are we gonna literally just kind of go, look at this cool thing
Yeah. This
going
cool.
on. And then like, you know what we're gonna do? Let's add like 3 new whole characters that you've never met before
And
that
not
like
have Pacey in the episode at all.
at all. And then like also like potentially have love interests for Joey, like a new love interest for Joey and all that stuff. So it's kind of like ooh, what's going on? Like, I don't know where we're going to be leading. There's lots and lots of room, for things to happen.
Even
But
Jack potentially just kind of stumbled into a possible love interest,
yeah,
and he wasn't
I love
looking.
that for him. I want him to enjoy. I know that we'll only get a really good hug or some longing looks, right?
Dawson's Creek took credit for the first gay kiss in primetime, allegedly. I don't know how true it is. I feel like sitcoms did it, but maybe
Oh,
because it was like for a joke, it doesn't count. But
yeah.
they take credit for Jack being the first gay kiss.
Ah, oh, good for him. He deserves it.
It's actually I think I've told you this before.
Mm.
The Jack is the reason why Willow couldn't kiss Tara on Buffy because they wanted Jack to kiss first.
Oh, you did say that.
Yeah. So
You
once
did.
Jack got it over with, then Willow and Tara were kissing all over the place.
Again, see, there you go. That's why they're the same universe. It makes
Right.
it's like they were talking to each other, and
Right.
Jack was like, "But let me have this. Can I just? I know you guys been through a lot, but like, so have I. Like a lot more. Like, can you please
So can I get the kiss first?
just let me just have this one thing? Like, and they're like, all right, fine, you know. But I just, yeah, it was just kind of like a kind of like a boner killer, I guess is the
Yeah,
only way I can explain it.
yeah.
Like, I kinda like AJ. I feel like he's kinda more on Joey's level, like, in the sense of the intellectually, but I am concerned about the age gap. Um
See, if I was still playing mind games with you and trying to torture you, I would have ended our watch with the first episode. And then you would have been like, "What's gonna happen? I don't know."
Oh, sweet Tommy, do you wanna continue to play this game? Because you do have to watch more Doctor Who,
I
is all.
do, and that's why we're just gonna go 2 at a time and see what happens.
Do you see what he does to me, dear watchers of this wonderful show? He
For
tortures
our
me.
friendly listeners, I got really sad watching Doctor Who, and the text
Yeah.
message I got from Dana was like, "Oh, are you sad? Did that
Oh,
make you sad?
no!
Did
Did
you
they do
cry?"
something to your ship? Did they destroy your ship? That's so upsetting. Ugh. But, like, again, you're the devil, and I should be on my toes. I'm like, to be honest, like, my ship's dead. They've destroyed Andy, so I'm what I'm kind of wondering about is, like, are they going to potentially poke at, like, the Joey and Pacey thing? And will AJ make his appearance again in some way?
Yeah.
Um, Stuff like that. So, that's kinda where I'm
I don't
at.
like AJ.
No,
There's
he's
nothing he doesn't pop for me, like, there's nothing, like,
yeah,
appealing about him for some reason.
yeah. He feels like a kind of a crossover between Dawson and Pacey together. Like he's pretty intellectual, clever, like he can keep up on his toes, he can talk to her, intellectual stuff, like feels like somewhat emotionally intelligent, but has
Mhm.
like the baby face of Mr. Dawson, later, and the innocence a little bit, but at the
Mhm.
same time, again, the age gap concerns me. Like I
Yeah,
don't like the idea of a like 20 something going after a 16-year-old, like
yeah,
especially at that time
right.
as a 20-year-old, like, yucky.
Yeah,
Like, 16 is like a eon away, like,
right.
from that, so
Alright, well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dawson's Creek. We'll be back next week with 2 more episodes. As always, you can find us on all the socials and on Patreon at Queers and Soaps, and until next time, have a great night. Bye.